Hello, Starshine. My name is Liz, and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before, and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe, and maybe check out my other social media as well. I'm on both Facebook and Twitter. All relevant links are in the description below, and of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of my characters, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Finally, before I begin my Simsational story, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done. But I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with. Let's go. Today's story is from The Ascension of Anastasia, and we're at chapter 8. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. Imagine you are dating a smart, strong, beautiful woman, and she comes to you and tells you she has a new friend, a male friend. She wants you to be friends with this man too. Now, how would you react to this? Emmanuel Valdivia looked through his glasses and down his nose suspiciously at Phillip Merchant, his fiancée's new friend. Phillip had tried to defend himself, but it had sounded flat and half-hearted even to his own ears. Of course he'd thought about it. Anastasia was an ethereally stunning woman, but he knew she was taken. The whole world knew. She and Emmanuel were both A-list celebrities, famous actors, and who was he? Just a simple photographer. The men didn't tell Anastasia the truth about how their conversation had went. There was no point. They both knew that they would never truly be friends like Anna dreamed of, and yet they also knew that there was no way of convincing her of that. Not without Phillip revealing himself, or Emmanuel appearing jealous. Instead, an awkward truce was reached, and Phillip would take beautiful photos of the woman he secretly loved, while Emmanuel stared back at him defensively from some of those very same images. If Anastasia knew what was going on in their heads, she never said anything. As far as they knew, she believed the charade of their friendship. For a little while, there was smooth sailing. Phillip was just one of many close friends the couple had. Anastasia and Emmanuel would throw huge parties every week, entertaining the whole neighbourhood of Del Sol Valley and feeding the tabloids tidbits of celebrity gossip through her regular live streams of these parties. They were living the dream. There were cracks in the crevices, though. Emmanuel was beginning to feel overshadowed by Anastasia. Originally, he had been the bigger celebrity, but now she was even more famous than he was. Emmanuel loved Anastasia, and he was happy for her, but it was still hard for him to process. Of course, as usual, poor Anastasia was completely unaware of any of these plot undercurrents going on in her life. She was far too focused on the main act, her burgeoning career, to pay any attention to the unrequited love of her best friend or the bruised ego of her boyfriend. Everything was finally perfect. Better than perfect. After years of unhappy infertility, Anastasia had actually given up on falling pregnant. She was 34 now, still supposedly in her childbearing years, but even years before, when she'd tracked her cycle to try to have a baby with her ex-husband Anton, she'd never even had a single pregnancy scare. Until now. Emmanuel couldn't believe it. This was so amazing. It was exactly what they needed. A baby would initially boost both their celebrity status, but would ultimately lead to Anastasia stepping back to be a mum, and therefore he would once again be the more famous one. He couldn't wait. Their baby was going to be so beautiful. Anastasia hadn't been planning on telling anyone else about her pregnancy, not until she was through the danger zone. However, it was hard to lie to Phil when he poked his head out from behind the camera to demand to know what had her eyes sparkling like that. Anastasia wasn't able to help herself. The words practically tumbled out of her mouth. Phillip was happy for her. He knew how hard she'd struggled in her past with her infertility, and what a massive miracle this must feel like for her. She was going to be such a wonderful mother too. Anastasia cried with how kind and congratulatory he was. It felt like he was as invested in her baby as she was. In some ways, he was. He had denied that he was in love with Anna when Emmanuel had asked, but it had been a poorly delivered lie. Anastasia was definitely his dream girl, but in a quiet, unassuming kind of way. Phil never had any intentions of acting on his feelings. He was content to have just found Anna. Phil hadn't intended to fall in love with Anna, and her being engaged to someone else had already been a line in the sand he refused to cross, let alone now that she was pregnant. It was strange how, as much as a part of him burned to be with her, the rest of him rejoiced for her. She was finally going to become a mother. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 8 of The Ascension of Anastasia. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. And hey, maybe think about sharing my channel with a friend. Or don't. It's your life. Anyway, bye!